Sorry, I was drinking coffee, but good morning, everybody. It's not Saturday, I was about to say Saturday, but it's Friday here over at the Greater Columbus Convention Center for Columbus Cardfest. It's the same people that are running Grove City Cardfest. This is like their first time doing one over in Columbus, so this I'm excited about. The venue, unfortunately, for setting up is not the greatest. I've had the worst experience before here, mainly because of the parking situation. Problem is, like, there's only one way to the docking area, but unfortunately, it was like backed up for a while, and I think we were in line for about almost 25 minutes. So not nearly as bad as something like a Collecticon, but I mean, it was still pretty rough. Setup took maybe about like an hour 30. I had to do a little bit of reorganizing. I still have a lot of that Squirtle stuff from like the last show. But aside from that, I did a lot of reorganizing roughly about yesterday. And now we have a little bit of extra time to be able to work on a few other things today. Mainly selling slabs. That one we had a few people looking at. Not anybody really offered anything just yet. So it will probably end up being maybe about around the afternoon is when we start to move those out. But basically just to rotate out inventory. Another big thing also to get more Gundam stuff in, because I haven't really gotten nearly as much in during the last few shows, but we'll have to wait and see. And probably move out some of the VTuber stuff, because I have had a few people asking about those, so there might be a possibility we'll move out a decent amount of those for today. But that's kind of the update right now. Nothing is sold yet, which is kind of surprising, but I mean, it's still a little bit early, and of course it's not Saturday, which I think is going to be the big busy day for the entire weekend. So that's pretty much the whole update, and I will pretty much hit record when the first actual sale is, and I do hope to see one viewer at least from the channel check out the booth for today. But yeah, we're all the way in the back corner. This is going to be interesting to see how well we do this entire show, but yeah, I'll see you guys back in a bit. All right, first sale of the day. Not a whole lot at the moment, but just a couple of Gundams, one C plus resource, and then I guess you could say alt art for LR plus, and altogether for a deal for 20. So that Gundam stuff that we picked up at the last show, oddly enough, is all gone. Even the sleeved ones that we had in the case. And it's one of my regulars. They're giving us originally 4, but they're giving me $1 tip on top.
Chair rental.
Yeah. Chair rental. Yeah, chair rental. Well, yeah, chair rental fee. That would be the best way to describe it. He usually brings some really good stuff in. It's like a lot of vending series stuff, a few vintage stuff. Obviously not best of shape, but the vending stuff has always been the best stuff that has ever been brought to the table, and he's got another Mewtwo that was in that. But thank you very much for the deal, and like I said, it was $4. Right, so they were looking for baby shiny stuff. They're picking up 4 of them for their PC, and it's going away for $33. Zoro, not Roronoa Zoro, but he's got the Luffy hat on top.
I'm actually Roronoa.
So he's been by Northgate a couple of different times. I've been pretty much his neighbor, so
They were bringing by this.
yes, he's bringing this in for trade. We basically did like kind of no discounts on either one, except for this. I was a little bit higher on it, so I adjusted it down to 155. He's adding 80 cash on top, and then the Ursaluna EX SIR from Prismatic. So where can they find you?
You can find me at Zoros TCG, ZOROS TCG on IG. Thank you.
On IG, anytime, man. That was a good deal. Couple of trainers, and they are the exact same one, older and newer, all going out for a discount for 23. All right, I forgot to record it, but I sold the Mewtwo off earlier, and we're now selling the Dragonite EX. That one we just got in recently, and it's going away for 55. So this took a little bit of time to get over, mostly because I've been so busy at the booth, I forgot to document all of it off. We finally have Dragon Ball stuff in. I'm more familiar with Dragon Ball as opposed to like some other stuff, but Dragon Ball I grew up with so much as a kid, so now I have like a variety of few things here at the booth. And then most expensive thing out of the lot was the PSA 10s Megas Hard from Phantasmal. So we kind of went back and forth on it, but we basically gave them 180 cash. So that was pretty much the main thing I got topped out of today. So this one's been looked at quite a lot today. So it is now going away for a customer. Originally $55, but it's going to around $52. So happy to see you get home. So this one, everybody knows that I pulled out of my packs. I was like the one from Chad's booth, and somebody brought this in for trade. They are bringing this in, and it's roughly about like 35 cash is what I owed on top. So pretty expensive Luffy cards going on. Did a quick trade and sell a couple of moderns, and then they are adding cash on top for the Gardevoir EX that we got last week. So thanks for the deal. So there's a reason I have 225, because with this card added in, we are out of cash for the day. So there's a mix of Dragon Ball, Pokemon, and also Union Arena, a little bit of like anime stuff for later this fall, because we will be setting up over at the show in Dayton, I believe is where it's at. But we pretty much just owed him 225, as I said. So Gary didn't last for Saturday, so it's going over to somebody's PC that they're getting mostly a lot of Gary stuff, and they brought in a lot of like really good vintage stuff. They have the Nintendo promo that I wanted for Zapdos, but we'll figure it out for tomorrow. So they brought all that in. They just owed $20 cash on top, and I'll pretty much go through the conditions later. All right, so a little bit of an update. It's pack up time for Friday. It's still kind of busy a little bit, but they have a trade night thing they're going to be doing around 7 o'clock, I think is when it is. But unfortunately, I have too much that I'm going to be able to do after the show's closed up. I won't be able to make it out for that, but honestly, for Friday, it was fine. I don't really think it was anything to write home about, but I still did really good amount of trades, like a couple of like $300 trade deals. So, I mean, that to me is good. So it wasn't really a complete waste of time. So I'll probably be able to do some more stuff tomorrow. So if hopefully Saturday does pick up, which I'm pretty sure it will, just because Fridays usually don't do that well for card shows, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. But that is pretty much it for Friday, pretty much all the way out here in Columbus, but I will basically see you guys back here in the next few seconds for the next clip, and basically just kind of go through updates, because I got to go through all of that stuff there. So, yep, I'll see you guys back here in a bit. Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday. Back at it. I was making sure I had to hit the record button again, but it's already busy for, if you're looking like over in that corner, it's like way busier today. The only main things, you'll see the recording for like the first clip, because that was the first transaction. So far it's decent. A couple of people from the Gundam group that usually shops over in the Columbus area, they dropped by the booth earlier. Probably going to do some trades. Aside from that, I don't really expect a whole lot else. Probably got to go through all of this today, because I kind of felt sick last night when I got back to the hotel, so I unfortunately didn't have enough time to be able to get any type of like work done last night, so I took it a bit easier when I got back to the hotel. But that's pretty much the update right now. It is, like I said, very early in the morning, a couple hours until the regular crowd comes in, but it's, I mean, look at how busy it is like inside. I mean, I can't really complain about this at all, because the crowds have been pretty consistent for Columbus, so it should hopefully pick up pretty good. But it's Saturday, it should be fun. Card shows are usually like best when it comes to Saturdays. As per usual, I'll hit record, but you'll see the first transaction, which will be the next clip. So yeah, I'll see you guys in a quick sec. All right, selling off the Inns Restroom and all that glare goodness, and it's going away to a customer very early in the morning, 4:20. Well, my neighbor that is across from me, this is pretty much their booth. He's actually doing some live streaming at the moment. And a friend of his saw a few Gundam stuff. They were picking up originally $490, but it's a discount for $85. A couple of really good stuff, and this was the one that we had gotten all the way from, I want to say it was Collecticon this past year. But yeah, it was a good deal for all three. All right, so one of my regulars, you've pretty much seen him a few times over at Dayton and Cincinnati. The Union Arena stuff that I had just gotten yesterday is now officially gone. So all of it, including the Gojo, the Ichigo, winter stamps, pre-releases. Originally, these two were in the back, but I told him about those two, so he's picking them all up. And we said 170, I think is what it was. All right. So there it is. One of the other Union Arenas are going away, one of the last Sword Art Online ones that I've got available. They brought a bunch of these first ever overboarder that I have gotten to the booth. I'm surprised to see how much this one is, because I know Dark Magician Girl is like the very big one. And of course some other Gundam stuff. The best one obviously is Trans Am XCS, so this was a almost equal trade. They're still looking for a $4 card, but happy to see more of these getting a good home. All right, decent amount of One Piece stuff got brought over to the booth. They weren't able to find anything else on there, so they just get 75 on top. They're picking up a couple of promos and then the Garchomp V, and like I said, a decent amount of One Piece stuff. Obviously, the best one is the Sanji, so thanks for the deal. So first ever Dragon Ball slab that we were able to take in, because I don't have enough or had hardly any Dragon Ball stuff at the moment. So they brought that in. There was the Zeno. Unfortunately, the Zeno in a 10 I couldn't really take in because that one unfortunately doesn't really have any comps. But Goten and Trunks, obviously I will take those in because Trunks is probably one of my favorites, but it's the future Trunks one. But overall, it was like 100 on top for that one. This took a bit, and I do apologize, and thanks for the person for being patient, but they brought Yu-Gi-Oh stuff in. I had to pick them up, especially for Retro Pack 2, Light and Darkness Dragon. That one is the best one of the bunch. There's a Portuguese first ed, Blue Eyes, damage condition on it, but I mean still better than most of the other ones I've seen. And then there's a lot of like lower end stuffs and some pretty cool like meta stuff as well. So they're picking up some full arts, a little bit of modern and vintage. I want to say Astral Radiance for the Regidrago V, but it was even out trade for all of it. Well, this is probably the biggest amount of stuff somebody's picking up from the booth. A lot of lower ends and, of course, some Marnies on top. We still have the $50 one that's still there from the deck. So they just owed us about $180 altogether. And not long after that last purchase, selling off altogether for a flat 70, a decent amount of alt art, Gundams, pilots, and then, of course, the RX-78 headless, and one Frogadier. Frogadier? Was it Frog? Yeah, it's right there, Kevin. So this was, again, even 70. And I've got some upside-down cards that are being swapped over for Gundam. Some really good higher, well, I guess you could probably say higher-end stuff. The lowest would be the EX bases. I always like these from Collecticon, so now we got more. Duo Maxwell, some like Gundam Wing, mix of like some other vintage ones as well from the series. The Penelope is very underrated. I was surprised how cheaper that got, and they're picking up one of the Nico Robbins that I just got in earlier, and then a few other Triple R trainers, and we're just owing them 40 on top. All right, one of the Rumbles is going out, one of the more higher end ones if it was near mint, and they are adding 60 cash on top. We have Southern Island stuff now, near mint Meganium, Blaziken V we got in again. Celebrations Pikachu, not near mint, but still good enough, and all together 60 on top. So I won't get the gentleman on camera, but there's a few things I did pick up. Some blisters for Surging and a couple of other Raws. They brought in the Polka Walker from Heart Gold Soul Silver. Obviously no clip, but we still gave them 70 on top, and we're gonna pretty much just rip this open to see. So I haven't done well so far on Perfect Order, but we'll have to wait and see, so I'll show you the aftermath. Oh, and it's funny enough that we opened this up for Clefable and pulled off the EX, so that, I mean, that's about an even hit right there. All right, this did not last long. It was from the last show, and we are getting rid of it to a customer for their collection for $130. So it's been busy, and I haven't really had much time to like do any sort of like updates because it's been constantly busy the entire time. I mean, look at like how packed it is on a Saturday. I mean, this is like, it's like, I don't know, like the Columbus area, but Columbus has always been very good for this venue. So slight updates, there's been a few additional things. Like I haven't even had a chance to like go through all of it. Like this was empty before and now there's like way too much stuff. Mix of like Dragon Ball stuff. I've got to go through all of that. That's like the most expensive like single Gundam thing that I've gotten today. Like Reverse Hollow Sword. I think I like documented that off. And then there was like a binder of Yu-Gi-Oh that we just got earlier. It was like pretty much common bulk. It was like around $20. So that's kind of like the update, and I haven't even had a chance to like go through all the binders and like reorganize all that. So that's kind of what has happened so far. It's been a hell of a weekend so far. All right, so just picked that up from a customer a few minutes ago. So they were looking for like 50 cash, but I gave them 57. Prices on it were like around 75 to around 80, so we did around like 75% comps on it. So happy to finally get that in. I mean, it doesn't look terrible at all, so I'm not really sure why they were asking originally for 50, unless I'm not going to say that they stole it, but overall it was 57 that we got. Alright, so this is going to be the very last thing for the entire show. It's quieting down a lot more, but we're still here doing the last second deals. Variety of different stuff, a lot of like mid-era, some like decent vintage, a lot of Yukamori stuff. Reverse Hollow Crobat is really, or not Crobat, Golbat, excuse me. And they're picking all of this up. They just owed us $1 whole, and they're getting all of these. We had just got that in like literally maybe 10 minutes ago, and it's now officially gone. So that was a heck of a way to kind of end the day off. All right, I'm not gonna be able to do much of a outro for this, mostly because I can't really leave the garage. It's pretty chaotic at the moment, but this was a good show. For Columbus, I'm still not a fan of the convention center. I think that just overall it's a bit of an issue just to be able to set up, like doing the docks and just like having really a limit to how many people can like offload. I probably could have just done the garage and just take everything in that way, so I wouldn't have to like wait to be able to get inside. But it was still a good show overall. That is pretty much it all the way from Columbus, Ohio. Thank you to everybody who dropped by for the booth. It was like a really good weekend. Just the amount of quality and quantity, pretty much from every TCG that I'm starting to do now. One Piece especially, that was definitely picking up this past month. July is going to be a bit of a downtime for me. I'll try to figure out a video to put out for the 4th of July week, but I will be back in Dayton for July 8th. No, July 8th is like something else, I forgot, but it's that weekend of that week, but you know what I mean. But that's it, everybody. Thank you for watching, and I don't know what else to say. I'm exhausted. It was a long weekend, or a long 2 days, but if you haven't done so, feel free to subscribe. I try to put out new videos whenever I can, especially exhausted and all. But I'm not gonna do the high five thing because there's like eyes around, so I'm just gonna probably do fist and all. So anyways, you know how it is when we end these videos. Stay strong, stay positive, and most important of all, love you all. Have a good one.